Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today on the Man Blitz. I'd just like to take a moment to remind you to follow us on Twitter at Man Blitz. Visit us at www.3manblitz.com. You can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Breaker, and don't forget to view us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks guys.
Hey guys, welcome into another edition of the Man Blitz College Edition. Today we're going to tear into the Auburn Tigers. So you got me, you got Jeremy, you got Andrew, you got Queasy.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna go and see what they got cracking for 2020. But before we do that, we're gonna get into our shots.
Let's drink, boys. I'm gonna have to drink to talk about some Auburn Tigers. Let me tell you what.
Why you got to pop the cork like it's some old whiskey or something?
Him or me? Because I felt like mine made a nice.
That was you.
That was you. Yeah.
This is how I pulled it out.
Mine twist off because I drink the cheap stuff, my friend.
I was about to say, I've got fancy whiskey over here, so that's just how it sounds.
Show it off, Jeremy. Show it off.
Yeah, it's not like incredibly super stupid expensive. It's just Woodford Reserve.
Woodford Reserve.
It's like $35 a bottle. It's definitely worth it. Kentucky bourbon.
For those of you who can't see it, it's Woodland Reserve.
I'm doing shots of Boone's Farms.
Yeah. I've got beer in a shot glass.
You know what? Here's in hopes that the 2020 season actually happens.
I've got some news on that front after we take our shots.
Yeah, I've got some too. It's probably the same news. Let's do it.
All right, bottoms up.
News.
Throw it out. So I saw where the Big Ten, this is probably Andrew's, the Big Ten officially announced they will only play in-conference games.
Wow.
And it's going to be a 10-game schedule from what I could tell.
Okay.
And on that note, Ohio State canceled their voluntary workouts.
Good.
North Carolina canceled their voluntary workouts for I don't know. I haven't looked up the facts on it. I just know it happened.
Yeah.
And the Ivy League canceled their 2020 football season, all their fall sports.
Okay.
But the Ivy League was never planned on having school to begin with. So, if you're not going to have students there at all, then, you're not going to have sports. So I kind of saw this coming, and that doesn't really put a damper on things. But the fact that a school as big into football and that it invests as much in it as Ohio State has canceled their voluntary workouts, that's kind of dim.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And,
also, I was just going to say Stanford also canceled 11 of their lesser sports, if you want to call them that, stuff like fencing, rowing, or crew as it's known.
Not fencing.
Fencing. I know. So just some of their lesser sports, less followed sports got canceled. So that's just some of the fallout that we're seeing from not having, participation or just COVID and, a lot of money being lost. Football, let's not twist it. Football is most schools' biggest sport revenue.
Exactly.
So if for some reason if you're only doing half a season, right? If you're not doing your non-conference games, you're losing revenue. So this is lost money, and I feel for these smaller schools too. So if this becomes a normal thing, say if it's SEC, Pac-12, ACC, blah blah blah, all these smaller schools that have these contracts, they're losing out on a ton of money, which pays for a lot of their athletics, and I really worry about it. I hate that this is happening. So all we can do right now is wait and hope.
Any way that you can, kind of try to follow it. We're following it as closely as we can. For all you fans of smaller schools, I'm not sure how many of you would necessarily be watching this Auburn video, but do what you can to kind of support your school. And you schools just like UAB. I know they lost their football program just a few years back, and then they got it back, and it's kind of been a big thing for them. And this might put them in danger again. Schools like that, you really got to. I don't know, you got to stay tight-knit with the community and just kind of do what you can to help support those programs because God knows that this country's bad as it is. I don't want to see it without football. Amen, right?
It'll get bad. I know that me personally, what am I going to do without
Stop,
football?
You're freaking out. Breathe into the bag. Breathe into the bag.
I don't have a bag, man. Here, I'll take a sip of beer.
Anyway, so let's go ahead and roll on into Auburn. Jeremy, why don't we just do the traditional thing that we do, and you just kind of fire off with some offense?
Let's rock it, man. So, Auburn Tigers. All right, so when I think about Auburn, especially the offensive side, I think about Gus Malzahn. He's been there for a few years now. Since he's been at Auburn, he's been 62-31. That's 7 years. That's not a bad record. I mean, it's double the amount of wins versus losses. So that's why he's still there. Overall,
it's also the SEC West. It's very difficult.
It's not bad. And they've beat Bama a few times, and Bama's been fantastic.
Two of the last three, I think they've beaten Bama, actually.
Matter of fact, when I think about Auburn, and just in case you were wondering, especially you Auburn fans, I also hate Alabama. Not big fans of that school. So when I think about the Iron Bowl, probably one of the most memorable in my own memory is when Alabama kicked that field goal, that super long field goal.
Kick six.
Yeah, the kick six. And they had such a heavy formation there as far as Alabama. And Auburn, to their credit, to their special teams especially, had a guy back to field it and return it. And they had nobody there to stop them. And it won them the game. It's probably one of the best college football games I've ever watched. In all honesty, it still sticks out in my head. If you're an Auburn fan, you absolutely loved it. If you're an Alabama fan, you remember it very well. And you hate the Tigers even more because of it. So it's a good rivalry. Bless you. So over the last 5 seasons, they went 7 wins, 8 wins, 10 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins. So they've always been in the conversation, right? Has been a great team, great to good team for the West. Definitely can win at any point in time. When I think about Auburn for this upcoming season, bless you, I think about Bo Nix. So Bo Nix was a freshman last year. He's a sophomore in this upcoming season. They decided to go ahead and roll with him, and he's an athletic dude. He's 6'2", 207 pounds. I expect him to probably put on a little bit more weight in this offseason. Last season, he was 217 out of 377 pass attempts for a 57.6% completion average, which isn't fantastic. It's not, but for a freshman, it's actually pretty good. He passes the eye test. He's athletic. He had a good arm. He threw for like a little over 2,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I didn't put his rushing stats on here, but I know that he was mobile and he moved around quite a bit. I'm sure you probably got. I was about to say, I'd say Andrew's probably got a little bit on that, but we talk a lot amongst ourselves about passing the eye test. And Bo Nix, past season, he definitely passed it as a freshman, without a doubt. He's up there. For this year, for looking at SEC quarterbacks, there's not a ton. Like last year, you had like Tua, who was like Heisman contender, right? You had Burrow, This season, you don't really have a ton of these guys that are like super established. There's a few, but Bo Nix, I would have to say, is probably one of the best as far as talent goes. So look out for him to make a lot of noise. They've got a new offensive coordinator in Chad Morris. So he came over from Arkansas in that 1-year stint as their head coach, and he's back into what he is best at, which is being the offensive mind running an offense.
Yeah, I think that was a very good and very sneaky hire on the part of Gus Malzahn. I think he had a little bit of trouble trying to be offensive coordinator and head coach at the same time. And I don't think that there's a better guy that he could have found to kind of delegate that task to.
Yeah, I'd have to agree 100%. And, as soon as he saw Chad Morris let go, it was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to grab this guy up. So, of course, last season he was with Arkansas, and they didn't have a great season at all. I think it was like 2 wins. But in the past 10 years, he had been with a couple different squads. Clemson's probably one of the biggest ones that you would know of, where he had helped them have a scoring average that ended up in the top 10 in the NCAA. Okay, so when you think about Clemson, when they had Taj Boyd at the quarterback, that was Chad Morris. Okay, so he was there for that. He likes to run a spread offense. And what I like to credit him for is he likes to really utilize the talent he has on the squad. So he's not like a guy that just has a set system and then, if we don't have the talent, we're just going to have to recruit to it.
See, he's one of these guys. He kind of just to put what you're saying in layman's terms, he squeezes every last drop out of the orange to get that orange juice, and he tailors his offense to, like you said, to what he has.
Right.
And I think that's very impressive because there are a lot of coaches that cannot do that. They have it set in their mind exactly what they want, and that's what they try to run no matter what kind of talent room they walk into. And so to his credit, I think that's a very unique skill to have as a coordinator.
No doubt. And he's experienced. That didn't come out of nothing.
Yeah.
Like he's done that. He's been around, so he understands how to be successful. And I know that he's just tore up, I'm sure, about the failure at Arkansas, but what are you going to do? I would expect him to revolve around Bo Nix, without a doubt. I mean, he's definitely going to be your starting quarterback. I expect him to use a little bit of his leg talent as well, so a little bit of RPOs with that spread, and I think he'll akin it to that Taj Boyd Clemson offense. Whether it'll be as successful, we'll see. But you've got some talent on the offense. You got Bo Nix, like I said. Let's not beat the dead horse. I expect him to do well. You got DJ Williams is going to be the running back there. He's 5'10", 216. He only had 400 yards rushing last year, but he wasn't your starter. But he is solidified as your starting running back because you had Jatarvius Whitlow and Cam Martin both transferred away. Okay, so it is DJ Williams' backfield. He is your number one starter. I don't think it's even close. And if you want to see what he can do as far as DJ Williams, go look at the tape against LSU where he had 130 yards rushing. He had like a coming out party against them. So the future's bright. We'll move on to the wide receivers real quick. You got Seth Williams. You got Anthony Schwartz. I'll speak on those two. They should be, as far as talent-wise, and you can kind of close your ears on this, Andrew, they should be like the top two receivers as far as a duo goes in the SEC. They have that talent, and Schwartz has the speed where I think he's legitimately the fastest receiver in the SEC.
Wow.
Yeah. So the biggest issue that I have with Auburn when I'm looking at their offense definitely is where you would want to start as a coach, which would be their O-line. Their O-line, I have a lot of questions. They lost all of their primary starters. The guy that they have coming back with the most starts is their center, their projected center, and Nick Brahms. He had 5 starts and did well in those 5 starts. But the guys that were their starters, they're gone.
Well, let's not ignore the fact that Auburn is a recruiting machine. I mean, they don't recruit quite like Alabama and Georgia, but, Auburn's one of those teams where, year in, year out, you're looking at a top 10 recruiting class. So I'm not going to say it's necessarily quite the same next man up mentality that you might look at as far as like your Clemson, your Ohio State, your Georgia, your LSU, your Alabama. But these guys that are going to Auburn, these guys that are playing there, they're not quite slouches either, I wouldn't say. So, I'm not super concerned about the offensive line, especially when you look at how mobile Bo Nix is. That helps out that offensive line a lot because they don't quite have to hold as long. He can kind of, you're looking at like RPOs, and he can kind of wiggle out of the pocket and this and that. He's very elusive. He can maneuver well, and I don't think that'll kill him.
You're right. They have a ton of talent, but what they don't have is experience. So you never know how that's going to play out. So the COVID thing does come into effect. We still don't know what kind of season we're going to have. We talked about that already, but they have the talent. The question is when is the experience aspect going to rear its head? I don't doubt that they have the experience to be a fantastic offensive line. They may end up being one of the better offensive lines in the SEC in the nation.
But we don't know that right now.
But we don't know. So if I look at a weakness on their offense for this upcoming season, it's their line, without a doubt, because they lost all their starters. You know what I mean?
I feel you. I do.
And they also have
it's going to be as big of as detrimental as one might think.
Right. It's not as big a deal as, say, if you were Arkansas or somebody losing.
But even then, Felipe Franks is pretty elusive. He likes to run as well. He's another one of those guys. But whenever you're looking at a quarterback and they've got that dual threat stamp on them, I'm not quite as worried about the offensive line. That doesn't mean the offensive line shouldn't protect your quarterback, because they absolutely should. There's a lot of times you have to wait on plays to develop, but if they're not always able to do that, it's not quite the end of the world.
That's true. That's true. And Bo Nix is definitely fit in that category, so we'll just have to wait and see. They do have a new line coach for the offensive line. It's Jack Bicknell Jr. He came from Ole Miss, so that's just another piece that you have to add into it. New coach, new guys. So we'll see how it plays out. As far as schedule goes, I actually have Auburn going 8-4. So that's one win below what you were last season when you were 9-3. I've got you losing to. You got a pretty tough schedule as far as Auburn goes. I got you losing to Georgia. I got you losing to Texas A&M, which was like a 50-50 game for me. I've got you losing to Bama, who I have projected to win the West as much as I hate it. And I have you losing to LSU, which could also be a 50-50 game, depending on what they've got going on. So
yeah, man, and we've made our way through the West. This is our very last team, so I think it's only appropriate that you kind of called your shot there. What do you think, Queasy, as far as who you think is going to win the West after you've done your kind of review of Auburn?
I still got to put Alabama up there, and I think that's going to be, as far as number 2, it's going to be that LSU Auburn game. It's going to determine that.
Yep. No doubt. Don't forget about Texas A&M. I'm not quite sleeping on them, but I don't. I'm not acknowledging that they're there. I'm not ignoring them, but I don't think they're going to be quite as good as people think. I mean, they have all the potential in the world, and they don't have any excuses this season. But I just don't think they're going to live up to the hype.
Yeah, they got a tough road ahead of them for Texas A&M.
And what's crazy is, like, if you were looking at just the quarterback position as far as wins and losses, you have a legitimate argument in saying that Auburn has one of the better quarterbacks. LSU's got a relative unknown. Alabama's got a guy in Mac Jones that he played pretty good. He just wasn't Tua. But who is Tua? You know what I mean? So, and they've got that real talented freshman. His name escapes me. It's like Byron Jones or Bryson Jones or something.
Bryce Young. Bryce
Young. That's it. Bryce Young. So, and nobody's seen him play in college. And then you got Keller Mond at Texas A&M. He's another guy that could take the step forward. So the West is, I don't want to say it's super wide open, because there's a talent gap. There really is. When you've got a recruiting powerhouse like Alabama has been, and Auburn, and then LSU, and then you kind of step down as you go. You just never know.
I'll be honest with you, though. If I had to get an all SEC or an all SEC West team, if we were building one up, my number one quarterback would be Bo Nix, followed by John Rice Plumlee. I really like his talent. But those are my two guys.
Yeah, we've already covered Ole Miss, but a lot of people are going to sleep on John Rice Plumlee. If we were doing fantasy for college, that would be a guy. He'd be way up there.
He's like your Lamar Jackson there.
He would be. Anyway, that's what I got on the offense. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you agree and disagree with, and we'll move on to the defense. Queasy, what you got?
Hey, I'm gonna try to keep it. I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet. I try to save a little bit of time with our defense. As you see, Auburn has a strong team, even though they lost a lot of starters. They still have a lot of guys coming back. It's going to be stepping into those places, and a few guys coming back. They're going to be kind of weaker on the secondary. That's where they lost a lot of their guys at. But their stronghold is going to be with their linebackers, where they do have 4 guys coming back. Headed off with Britt. He's definitely going to lead the charge for that defense as a linebacker. But a freshman they're bringing in, his name is Pompey, if I'm corrected. Pompeoe. He's gonna be stepping in.
Popoe?
Yeah, he's gonna be stepping in. They have high hopes for him. So that's going to hold down that defense right there. That's where they looking for their stronghold. Again, their secondary is going to be the weakest spot since they lost the most players there. They are in the West, so they have a strong offense, as you spoke of already. But I think that defense is going to be the one thing that's going to help to separate from those gauntlet of 4 teams around there in the SEC West. So we can hopefully see what they can do with that.
And I mean, in my opinion, it's like I was telling Jeremy, as far as recruiting goes, Auburn's done very well as far as recruiting on defense. You're talking about Owen Papao, I think I'm saying his name right, 5-star linebacker.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they've got really good guys, 3, 4, 5-star guys that have kind of just been riding the pine, waiting on their opportunity because they've had so many talented dudes in front of them. So, with their defense, I would say it is a reload situation, and I think they have the best defensive coordinator in the country in Kevin Steele. I love Kevin Steele. I hate him as a Georgia fan, but I love what he does with that defense. They are very good, and they really slowed down that LSU offense last season, and they were one of the few teams to do it. I think it was basically them and Todd Grantham at Florida kind of slowed down LSU a little bit. Georgia couldn't even do it, but I was very impressed by their defense last season, and Kevin Steele and what he's building there is something special.
Definitely.
Yeah, so having Kevin Steele there is a big deal for your defense. I don't think Gus Malzahn has to worry about the defense so much. The secondary is a bit of a concern. It really is, especially the way that we're trying to throw the ball around. It seems like around the league nowadays instead of running it ground and pound. But you also lost Jatarvius Whitlow. You lost Marlon Davidson and you lost Derek Brown. So Derek Brown went first round, the big dude into the NFL draft.
Yes.
Those are big shoes to fill on that line. And I don't think there's as many question marks. It seems like most people are looking more at the offense to see what they can do because they're a little younger.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the defense and wondering how they're going to size up to 2019.
Yep. Well, on that note, let me go ahead and move on to my share screen. I've got a graphic for you guys.
All right.
All right, y'all on? Y'all see me?
So again, if you guys aren't watching on YouTube, make your way over there so you can see this graphic.
You need to see the graphic. Whatever.
It's a good thing to see.
Okay. It's a great thing to see. It's blue and orange, which that makes it kind of ugly, but whatever. I don't like any orange teams. No offense, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I hear blue and orange, I think of Florida, and it makes me want to vomit.
Gross. 2020 schedule, I've got a win versus Alcorn State versus UNC. If we still play that game, I don't know. You guys heard the news. A win versus Ole Miss, Southern Miss, Kentucky. Your first loss comes at Georgia, so you're going 5-0 there. But my dog's going to whoop up on you there at Sanford Stadium. A win versus Texas A&M, I think. That's going to be a good game to watch. I'm very excited to see that one for sure. A win at Mississippi State. Mike Leach is just trying to get established in this COVID time, so it's going to be kind of difficult for them to really do anything this season. A win versus Arkansas and Sam Pittman. A win versus UMass. And I think you guys are going to pull out the win versus LSU, but I think Alabama's coming for their revenge at the end of the season. The last game, that's always a good one. You can't ever really call that Iron Bowl, man. That is probably the biggest rivalry in college football, and it's definitely, I think, the toughest game there absolutely is. But I'm giving you guys a 10-2 record, and I am going to go ahead and call that Auburn wins the West, and I'm very alone in this one. I'm alone in this one. It's a very unpopular opinion, but I'll kind of tell you why here in a minute. Time for my SEC tradition. You ready, Queasy?
Go ahead, man.
You ready?
Before you get started, I know that Queasy's probably shaking his head when you say that the Iron Bowl is the biggest rivalry in college football.
Michigan and Ohio. What's that other team? Who was that other team? So,
I can't remember. Something about a buck.
So this is the second best, if I must say.
Yeah, I will cover your ears, Queasy. I will say that in years past, probably the last decade, the Auburn Alabama game has been the best rivalry in college football. It's one that, of course, I'm an SEC fan, but it's one of the ones that seems more relevant. It seems more that it goes back and forth, so it seems, like a really good game to watch.
Yeah, all jokes aside, it definitely is a very good game, and it's great because there is strong competition there. Unlike my Michigan-Ohio State game, where Ohio State unfortunately been whipping up on my Wolverines, it is always a tough battle with the Auburn and Alabama, and almost a coin flip to see who's going to win.
Well, see, the problem is, Queasy, is Michigan doesn't pay its players like Ohio State does. Yeah, I need to try to look at that.
True indeed. Might need to go to LSU, get paid there. Jeez.
Yeah, no doubt.
OBJ showing up. Anyway, number 1. So this is one that's confusing to a lot of people, kind of like the whole Crimson Tide and the Elephants thing for Alabama. Auburn Tigers, yet they cry War Eagle. What's going on? So I got you here. The cry War Eagle was born when an eagle that had been rescued by a Civil War veteran but broke free and began soaring around the field during the 1892 Georgia versus Auburn game. Auburn in the final moments, and the eagle crashed into the ground and died.
No! He died. What the hell?
He died.
So shouldn't it be like dead eagle they cry out or something instead of
dead eagle?
I don't know. This is the legend, my friend. I'm telling you, and this is the legend. It died. It crashed in the ground.
Did they bury him on the field like Mississippi State?
That's a good question.
They did it, buried him on the 20-yard line. It's like,
Number 2. Auburn now has an eagle that flies around Jordan-Hare Stadium pre-game, and I think they're on their third eagle. This is a tradition they started back in, I think, the early 2000s, maybe the 90s, early 2000s, something like that. But it's something really cool to see, even if you're just watching the game on TV. That's something they normally show. I'm sure it's a sight to behold there at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
And they've trained this eagle. He doesn't fall to the ground dead. So all you PETA people, these eagles aren't dying.
Don't worry.
Same eagle.
And one other question.
Yeah.
Why did this veteran bring the eagle to a game?
No doubt. That's what I was wondering too. Why you bring it to a game?
I
don't know. He got free.
Got my beer.
Why would you take it around?
And I wouldn't take him to a football game with like 80,000 people.
Oh no, he was 1892.
And everybody else is cheering while his eagle died.
At least the Auburn fans were. Us Georgia fans weren't. We were in solidarity with the eagle.
Wow. All right.
Number 3.
Fans like sacrificing eagles for wins.
Number 3. Auburn fans toilet paper the tree at Toomer's Corner after a home victory. This is the only team in the NCAA to toilet paper their own trees.
Yeah, I've seen the traditions, man. It's actually pretty cool. I mean, it's just something to do, something for the college people to do, I guess. You know what I mean? So it's
like, yeah, man, we won. I'm bored. Let's get toilet paper some trees, man.
I mean, they do that thing, man. I don't think they got any trees anymore after the dude done from Alabama killed the tree.
I think they saved. Did they not save the tree?
I don't know.
I don't know if they saved it or not. I know that they tried.
We'll have to look.
They probably saved some of them. What was that dude's name, man? We used to make fun of that dude so hard.
Yeah, he came on the radio. I poisoned them trees. I mean, well, no, I didn't.
Yeah, he called into the Feinbaum show and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna poison their trees," and then it happened. He was like, "I didn't do that." Like, yeah, you did.
Number 4. The Georgia versus Auburn game that is played. You notice how I call it Georgia versus Auburn?
Of course, not Auburn.
That is played yearly is referred to as the Deep South's oldest rivalry, and of course began in 1892 when the Eagle died.
Okay, I never knew it was
number 5. Oh, it is the rivalry. It's the Deep South's oldest.
That's an old game right there. 1892. Could you imagine football back in 1892? I'd love to go back in time and watch a football game in 1892.
It's a lot of.
You got to come out with your hammer on first down.
Everybody knows you're gonna run. Yeah. Probably pass the ball like 10 times, and even then it's weird.
Don't even spiral, just kind of wiggles.
Yeah, you're like chunking it sideways.
Because you're throwing a basketball, looks like, probably.
Yeah, it's made of like, it's super heavy. Horsehide and crap.
Number 5. The name for the university was inspired by Sweet Auburn of Oliver Goldsmith's poem, The Deserted Village. See, I always wondered why, it was Auburn University. There's not a city, Auburn, right there or anything. I don't know. It was just weird.
I had no clue. What city is Auburn
in? If you wouldn't have asked me, I could have told you.
Wow. Okay.
People are going to be so upset that we don't
They
know.
are! I know so much, but I don't know.
We've been drinking too, so like stuff that I would know, you can ask me right now, and I'm going to sit here with crickets playing. Like, I don't know.
Moving on to our key players. You've got Bo Nix, of course. We discussed him. Jeremy gave you some of his stats. 2,542 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and those 16 touchdowns actually set the freshman passing touchdown record, which is pretty impressive. He had 79 rushing attempts for 449 yards and 7 touchdowns, which he was actually the first player to score a rushing touchdown against the University of Georgia all season. And that was near the end of the season, so that was pretty impressive. A good feat for him. He sets and throws with confidence. I like his mechanics. He's an agile and fast runner, and he commands the team in a leadership role, which is something that you just can't put a value on. It's great. DJ Williams, a running back, he's a sophomore. I think Jeremy already hit on him some. 84 attempts, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. He only got to play in 8 games. It was those final 8 games where he actually earned the backup position, the backup role. And he's 5'11", 210 pounds, and he's a bruiser. He was built for contact. He has good speed and makes defenders miss. It's not great speed, but it's good speed. But he does accelerate quickly, which is something that is definitely undervalued in running backs.
Yeah, he's got a great opportunity.
Is good.
Yeah, he's got a great opportunity in front of him, assuming the season plays out. DJ Williams, I mean,
He does.
you got to that's what great football players are known for, right? You got to make the most out of what's given to you as far as opportunities.
He's definitely talented. So, third guy I'm going to talk about is Christian Sweetfeet Tutt, a DB. He's a junior.
Sweetfeet.
32 tackles. Sweetfeet, yeah. He had 32 tackles. He had 4 tackles for loss as a DB, which is actually really impressive. Apparently he was brought in on a lot of blitzes, and he had 2 interceptions. And he also served as a punt return specialist, which he got 13.2 yards per return. And he plays very physical. He is not afraid to play with these big wide receivers. And if he's not as fast as you are, or you're a lot bigger than him, he will get on you. He doesn't play around, and he has great instincts and quickness. He doesn't have like super crazy top end speed, but he's very quick.
You know what I like to see? Don't make me laugh. He's talking about Sweetfeet. I know he's laughing at Sweetfeet. Out of these defensive backs, man, when you see these offenses throwing these quick screens out to the receivers, I absolutely love seeing a corner getting underneath a receiver trying to block him and blowing them up in the backfield. I just love seeing that play because a lot of people try to get too fancy and they throw it out thinking, oh, yeah, they're going to block it. It's a quick, easy 3 to 4 yards, and it ends up being like 4 to 5 yards loss. I just love it, seeing that corner shoot through and hit the guy on the thigh, and he flips over. I just love that.
That's the kind of stuff you're going to see out of this guy. He's very physical.
Out of who?
Sweetfeet, baby.
There we go.
So my last guy.
Hold up. So why is he called Sweetfeet? Do you know? Christian Sweet.
DB last year said that what was it? I read about it. He said that his movements were just so fine that he called him Sweetfeet, and the name kind of stuck.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's better than fine feet.
Fine feet.
Sugarfoot.
The last guy. You guys are
sorry.
Markavest Big Cat Bryant, See, that's a queasy name right there, Big Cat.
Big Cat.
So he was riding the pine last season. He is a very, very, very good defensive end. He's a senior this year and hasn't really had a season to start yet. But he decided to come back to Auburn for his opportunity. Didn't transfer out like some of these guys do. He stayed, and it's definitely going to pay off this season. Now, he only had 18 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. You know, those stats aren't super impressive. But if you watch his tape, he creates havoc on the edge. He bullies the offensive lineman. He moves those guys around like they're not even fighting against him. He has excellent speed for his size. He's very, very quick getting into the backfield. He is a solid tackler.
Oh, dear God.
Solid tackler.
I've been drinking, guys.
Or a tackler,
and he gets vertical to block passes, and watching some of that was impressive. Watching this man like jump up over these offensive linemen and bat down passes as a defensive end, it's really cool to see. Nice. But I'm really excited to see him play. I think he's going to be a very pivotal piece for Auburn's defense this year, and he's part of the reason why I've got them showing up and surprising people this season, for sure.
Definitely.
How big is this Big Cat?
Big Cat.
I didn't put it down, but obviously he's a big cat.
I'm assuming he's a big dude. Like he's got to be 6'6".
Bro, hold up, man. We're
pounds.
struggling. We need to find out a couple. Put the glass down. Put the glass down.
Put your Gandalf.
Y'all SEC guys, y'all need to do some homework. Y'all need to find out why Big Cat is Big Cat. Y'all need to find out what city Auburn's in. And find out why the hell did dude bring an eagle to
So I'm pretty sure Auburn is in Auburn, Alabama. Don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty sure that's inside Auburn, Alabama. I might be wrong.
Is there an Auburn, Alabama?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Oh, there is. It is an Auburn.
Yeah,
Alabama.
so it's
I'm guessing the city as well as the university was named after that poem.
Okay.
So boom, I'm right. Let's just move on from that. Big Cat, he's got to be a big dude. So I'm assuming, like, my phone's dead, like I told earlier.
Hold on. Guess. I want you guys to guess the size.
I'm assuming he's 6'6".
Not quite.
He's 6'4".
He's 6'5".
So we're in between. I bet he's 330 pounds.
Oh, it's
280.
Phone's slow. What? Wait. You guys are way off. Well, come a little closer together. What did you say, Jeremy?
I said 330. I assume he's a really big dude.
He's 6'5", but he's 247 pounds. So Queasy was closer, which would probably explain why he's so fast. He's not like one of these.
So he's not heavy. He's not super heavy.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense.
He's a very long dude. Yeah.
A really big dude.
That's how he gets up and batting these balls out of the air.
No doubt. So he plays these guys on pass blocks really high so that he can knock it down on these quick slants and stuff.
I've watched some of the high school tape, and it's impressive.
I really like hearing the stories of guys like him that have stuck it out through their entire career, and then they finally get their opportunity, and hopefully makes the most of it. Now, when I talk about big dudes, I always think about Calais Campbell. Dude is huge. He's like 6'7", 6'8". Like dude's a Hercules of a man. Yeah. Anyway. So that's when I think of somebody being called Big Cat, I thought it was somebody like him.
I mean, 6'5", that's a big dude for a defensive.
I'm not going to debate that with the dude.
Why they call you Big Cat?
Exactly.
You don't look so big to me.
Oh, your name's Big Cat? Cool, man. Nice to meet you, sir.
Exactly.
So listen, guys, thanks for sticking with us through our intoxicated stupor. We apologize for all of our errors and mistakes, but it's part of the fun. It's part of the fun. It really is. So, hey, all you Auburn fans, if we did something you didn't like, comment, let us know. We got something wrong, let us know. Yeah. If there was something else you'd like to see, something else you'd like to know, let us know, whatever. All I'm saying is contact us, comment, share it with your buddies. We're done with the West now, so you can go back and review everything we've talked about. We're going to be making our way through the East next. We've already hit Missouri, but I think we're going to be starting with South Carolina. So, we've all made our call on the West. We've got 2 Alabama, 1 Auburn, so nobody has faith in A&M.
That's tough, man. It's
tough. But thanks for sticking with us, and as always,
go for 3.
Save the Eagles.